Growing up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
The stakes have never been higher. The competition has never been stronger. 42 drivers, 25 rounds. One will be crowned champion. Competition. Commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. You're watching the premier American open wheel series on iRacing. The Lionheart IndyCar series presented by First Medical Equipment starts now.
Sponsored by First Medical Equipment, competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart, streaming cyberspace into your place from Michigan International Speedway. The Global Sim Racing Channel brings you round 16 coverage from Michigan International Speedway. It is the Lionheart IndyCar Series 2019 Season Championship. The site of the first ever Lionheart race is the host venue tonight, as the league drivers make their annual pilgrimage to the green hills of Michigan. The high-banked ovals will be a welcome relief from last round's narrow confines at Charlotte. The drivers will need to balance the draft with the need for clean air as tires fall off. From green flag to victory donuts, watch it all play out as all the simulated Dallara IR18 racing action streams your way as the Sim Racers 4 Mental Health 200 comes your way right here on the iRacing Esports Network. From the Wolverine State, hello and welcome to another GSRC broadcast and the Sim Experience Countdown to Green. Over the next 15 minutes, GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to appreciate the Sim Racers for Mental Health 200 that will immediately follow as we indeed count down to green. Up in the booth to bring you our bird's eye view is former real-world IndyCar driver Richie Hearn, joined by yours truly, Bill Soup Zahn. I'm Jed Yaman, as director duties, armed with cameras locked and loaded by Dougie Beard. And now this is one of those times when I need to pinch myself to assure myself that I'm not actually dreaming, because my booth mate has actually raced on this track in the real world at life and death tempo. Richie Hearn, your thoughts and memories of Michigan.
Yes, thanks, Soup. And here we are at Michigan International Speedway, located in Brooklyn, Michigan, just east of Detroit. Super fast speedway. This is probably the place I think I saw 250 miles an hour on my dashboard in 1998, so it's a little bit of eye-opening. It's very wide, 18 degrees banking, 73 foot wide. So you're going to see a lot of 3 wide and possibly 4 wide around this track. Not the hardest track in the world, but probably one of the hardest things to do is to manage those tires, as we already mentioned. So that's going to be something to watch out for, and managing your fuel consumption. But probably the best way to get an eye view of what this track really looks like is to jump on board that GSRC lap guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around the Michigan International Speedway, my personal home track here in the GSRC IR18 IndyCar. Without further ado, here we go. So you see, for the money lap, for the qualifying lap, get it right down there to the apron. Don't let it drift all the way up to the wall. You're just going to be scrubbing speed. Bringing it right down here to that yellow line. Try not to hit that apron. The car will spin out in a heartbeat. Bringing it right out here, bringing it a little bit out towards the fence, maybe not come all the way out. Again, the name of the game is to not scrub speed. Down here into turn 3 once again, nothing different than 1 and 2. Bring it right down to the bottom. Don't let it come all the way up either. Come right down there, drive straight from the apron. Watch the gravel there on the infield, across the line there. Now as the run moves on, and drive beyond even lap 2, you're going to see guys all over this Michigan International Speedway. Up here in about this 3rd groove, I wouldn't go venture higher than that, just because the car tends to wash out a little bit. But then here comes the defense maneuver. You're going to see, guys, this track is 4 or 5 lanes wide on the backstretch. You're going to have to block every single one of them if you're the leader. Down here into turn 3 again, letting it float up here. You can go a little bit higher than you can in 1 and 2. Let you really get a good rundown, sniff the draft of whoever's in front of you, try to set up a pass for turn 1, but across the line, and that's going to complete our track guide here around Michigan. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
And there we have a couple laps around Michigan International Speedway, and you can see how wide it is. So there are definitely going to be multiple grooves. Track's not that hard, but really the tricky spot is going to be coming off that turn 4 into the pit lane if we do have some green flag pit stops. The Countdown to Green is brought to you by Sim Experience, the team behind the AccuForce Pro V2 direct drive steering systems. By providing unparalleled realism and the most advanced tuning features on the market, the AccuForce provides a significant advantage to any sim racer. It can also make for an effective training tool for real-world drivers. For more information on the entire Sim Experience ecosystem, including their GS5 Stage Series motion systems and the SimVibe software, visit www.simexperience.com. And please use the promo code SimXLion to get 5% off your SimVibe software.
Thank you, Richie. All right, let's take this opportunity and look at the points as they stand right now. We're going to start by looking at the raw numbers. And you can see by the way this is going that Adam Blocker has this thing really crushing it with a 223-point lead over Dandy Dan Guerin. Kinsella sits in second with Goodman and Weaver. Now, what I want to do is take a second and look at how these relate with the drop races. So we're going to bring these up real quick. These are with the best, we are on 16, so there's 15 races in the book. This is the best 12 of 15 events so far. The interval's a little bit smaller between Blocker and Dan Guerin, but it's still pretty big margin. Notice how close, though, that Anna Kinsella is, and they're only a point back of Dan Guerin for that third spot. Michael Goodman sits down there in fourth, Justin Weaver in fifth, just like on the raw points. Let's go ahead now and look at the team standings. Last time out, if you're a fan of licorice, you'll like this one. It was all red and black, and I'm talking about Adrenaline Motorsports. Branch, Showen, and Stouffer did real good. They were second best. Of course, the red team of Blocker, Carey, and Kinsella, they were right in there as well. Both those teams sat 1 and 2 for those results last time out. You can see everybody pretty much holding station. A few guys switched down there. NHR Esports. Now, they have Harrington, who got the win last time out, teamed up with Larkham. If those good guys could pick up a third driver, they may be able to make a move, maybe get to the top 5 if they hustle. All right, so that takes care of the team championship. Those team championship brought to you, of course, by Plasma Tracks, and I neglected to tell you that the Drivers' Championship, of course, comes your way thanks to First Medical. Here's Richie to talk about the rookies.
Yeah, and the Rookie of the Year standings are presented by Butt Kicker. And as you can see, we got Damon Martinez up in the front. Mike Rigney has moved up 1 spot due to his 9th place finish last time out, and it's really tightened up the gap there for the first 4 or 5 guys. We've been watching this all season. We got 10 races to go, I think, between Martinez, Rigney, Hill, Carey, and possibly Paul Jenkins there. It's going to come down to one of those 5 guys there. So this will be something to watch. We've kind of gotten to the point in the season where you're not going to be able to afford any drop races. So we'll keep an eye on that.
And of course, Hill, your cleanest driver out of everybody. You know, the best of the best in the iRacing World Championships, as well as many of the top private leagues like the one you're watching right now, are showcased right here on the iRacing Esports Network. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe. And GSRC is proud to be part of the IESN stable of broadcasters. Considered the premier fixed setup racing league for the Dallara IR18 on the iRacing service, the Lionheart IndyCar Series honors the memory of the late Dan Weldon. And if Dan was around, he would really love this next segment, as it is indeed time for the fan favorite, Professor Slugnut's Setup Corner. Professor, what are you working on today?
Dieter, what happened to the power in the lab? What's going on? You know, Dieter, we were talking earlier, Kiss, Plaster Caster, one of my favorite songs of all time. Wait a minute.
No.
Oh, Soup, Caster.
No.
Oh, we're talking about Caster. You know, well, this season we've talked about camber, which is, you know, how the tire leans inward or outward, basically. Caster is the measure of how far forward or behind the steering axis is to the vertical axis. What's this axis thing? You know what? Think about, when you think about caster, visualize a motorcycle for a second, okay? I want you to draw a vertical line from the middle of the wheel straight up. All right, that's what we call the pivot point of the wheels. Now draw a line from the middle of the wheel directly up the forks of the bike. Okay, that angle between those two lines, well, that's called the caster angle. Now, most every vehicle uses positive caster, Soup, and the more positive caster, the more the car wants to keep doing the thing that it's doing. If it's going straight, it'll want to keep going straight. If it's turning, it'll want to make the car continue to rotate. Now, the trade-off is that it requires more effort to change what the car is doing. Now, that means a heavier steering feel, if you will. Now, most vehicles on the road, your passenger vehicles, well, they all have power steering. And it's really not an issue there. But Indy cars, they don't have any power steering. Okay, so any type of caster change can really make a big difference. In general, you want to run as high a caster as possible you can get away with, while recognizing that the driver's arms need to last them the whole race. And, well, depending on how your feedback settings set in your wheel, it could be a real workout, especially in that Lotus 79 that we'll be running tomorrow night. On the ovals, though, the caster adds an even further element by using asymmetrical caster. Just Google asymmetrical, asymmetrical. But by having more positive caster on the right side of the car, it will make the car pull to the left. This makes the car more stable from turn in to mid-corner. Get it, everybody? Less stable getting off the corner or in a straight line. So there you go. That's all about caster. Kiss, still a great band, and Plaster Caster, still a great song. YouTube that after the race, guys.
Thank you for that insight, Professor Lugner. And I want to speak from all the drivers in the Lionheart IndyCar Series saying happy birthday, Mr. Sean Ambrose, turning half a century old today. Isn't that right, Sean?
Yes. I don't know who Sean Ambrose is, but I heard it was his birthday today, Sam. Yeah. Thank you very much. Sincere thanks.
Over for me, Professor Lugner. All right, I got a race to do, so see, I was going to sing for you, but we're out of time.
Samuel Ryman jumping in there from the track. Congratulations to him. We wish him the best of luck, and we wish Professor Lugnut's alter ego a happy half-century turn in today. Good job for that, and thank you for that. Richie, we're always picking up new viewers. I hope they're not watching right now, but if they are, go ahead and tell them about the race details.
Yeah, and these series details come to us thanks to Minus 273, the premier name in karting gloves. For more information on Minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit minus273.biz and use the promo code LHRS for 25% off all our orders. And here we are, the series details, working on season 7 of the Lionheart IndyCar series, round 16 of 25 with those 3 drops you can see right there. Using the Delia IR18. The setups are adjusted, but they're fixed as well. So everybody's running the same thing. And we're working on a cash and prizes totaling $9,652.
And there you have it. We got all the business in as qualifying has just wrapped up. The drivers now are taking their spots in the car as they are racing, kind of sitting in Le Mans position on pit lane. Let's go ahead and run down your starting field for you. Chris, you've got plenty of time. Let's take it a row at a time. You know, I got good news and bad news for Dan Guerin. He sits on the pole. The bad news is in the Lionheart IndyCar Series, no one's ever won at Michigan from the pole. Outside of him, nice qualifying for Mike Cohn. Richie?
Yeah, Chris Lanini is going to be starting third, and right next to him, Dustin Wardlow.
Having a bad season by his standards would be Brian Yazik. He's going to be in 5th. He's going to be flanked by Michael Goodman.
Starting 7th will be Jason Galvin, and next to him will be Tyler Groff.
We got Ron Hacker sitting in 9th. He's inside of, that's right, boys and girls, he's backstage Carol.
Starting 11th will be our own Samuel Ryman, who you heard from right just a second ago, and starting 12th will be Ken Hacker.
In the Baker's Dozen position, it is our points leader, Adam Blocker. He's going to be cited by Tony Schowen.
Starting 15th is going to be Paul Jenkins, and starting 16th will be Andrew Kinsella.
17th and 18th are filled by George Anzaldo and our top rookie, Damon Martinez.
Starting 19th will be Brian Carey, and starting 20th will be Brian Greenlee.
With an ace and a face card, it's Joe Branch. With a pair of deuces, Chris Stouffer.
Brandon Limkerman, it'll be starting 23rd, and starting 24th will be Justin Weaver.
26th and 27th, Stefan Larkamp and David Altman.
Starting 27th, starting 28th will be Scotty Johnson, and starting 29th will be John Hill.
Have I got us off there? There we go. Altman at 27th, Johnson at 28th, Hill at 29th. I'll take these guys. 30th is Bart Workman. Let's get to an odd number. That's me. I'll do this odd number. Bobby Mikas, the Von Hansen's meat machine back there in 31st, with Big Joe Hassard, Richie, in 32nd. Then you get these guys that didn't put in qualifying.
Joe Flanagan, Isaiah Dupree, Brian Beard, Mike Rigney, and James Brandt. I think the person we skipped over was Robert Bluen, who's starting 25th.
Bluen. All right, we got him now. Let's go ahead. We got 3 onboard cameras today. We're going to start with the man up front in the Sim Racers for Mental Health onboard cameras. Dan Guerin in the number 8, sitting up front now. Joe Hassard in the number 11. He's got the butt kicker onboard camera. Get haptically immersed and bring more realism and immersion to your sessions. TheButtKicker.com. And there we have it. We got 2 of them today. All right, this is a big track, so we only get 1 pace lap. We got everything out of the way. We'll give you our race analysis in a little while. Just let you know that we're going 100 laps, 200 miles here in Michigan. Round number 16. Beautiful Medina Mendez, as always, behind the wheel of the pace car. She glides it in nicely. Turn and control over to Dan Guerin. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. Dandy Dan Guerin leads the field down into the first corner. The Watchman, Mark Cohn, right behind him. Lanini, sleepy, with a great qualifying run, sits in 3rd. A little bit of fighting going on for 4th position. Brian Yazik in his familiar blue HPP machine moves up into 5th. Wardlow stuck on top, being challenged by Goodman. Nice and clean so far.
Yeah, here comes Mark Cohn on the outside of Dan Guerin. As these tires are fresh, you're going to want to run that yellow line all the way around the bottom. It's the shortest distance, but this track is abrasive, so as the tires wear out, you're going to want to start moving up the groove and start running the outside line.
If you're curious about if we're going to get a clean race or a messy race, well, it can go either way. The most yellow flags here at Michigan, they've had 11. The least yellow flags, how about all the way through on green? 0. Look at this battle going on for third as they are 3 wide.
Oh, we got
no, get loose. And losing it. That is Chris Lanini. He gets straightened out. That may not bring out the yellow.
Yeah,
oh, no, but we got other cars in front of him.
Yeah, it looked like Sage Karam got right into the back of Chris Lanini. I just happened to be watching that, and he just kind of misjudged pulling out and going around the outside and caught him in the rear.
I think, and Stouffer and Lanini there, Lanini has lost his nose. Stouffer is in the wall.
Yeah, you'll see up in the top line right there, there is Sage, and he just clips the back of Chris Lanini, spins him around. Chris gets going again, but he's going so slow that I think it kind of checks up the field a little bit.
Justin Weaver also involved with this one.
Coming on board, Sage, and I think he just misjudges it. He just misjudges it just a tiny bit, and just catches the attenuator on the back of his car here, and that just spins him right around.
And then everybody was off pace, and that's when I thought we might be able to save it. I thought Lanini was going to get straightened out, and we were going to get to keep racing.
We do have one taker for the pit stop as Brian Yazik's coming in from 3rd spot. So fuel mileage, I don't know what it's like, what it is, but it might be a little bit of a concern. So topping off early might be paramount to being there in the end.
We come back live, and interesting enough, I don't know, Chris Lanini lost a wing. We'll see how many people actually make a stop. Everybody coming in. We'll give you our race analysis in a minute as everyone coming in to make those pit stops. Well, I was just talking about how they were managed one time to go green all the way through. Not going to happen today, so there'll be no record set that way, or at least tied. Our race leader continues to be Dan Guerin, with the watchman Mark Cohn flanking him. 20 cars stay out. The first one to take a pit stop and get out ahead of everybody, Brian Yazik. He's going to be in 21st. The other drivers only had 3 laps of racing in anger on their tires. With this opportunity, let's go ahead and give us our race analysis. We can see exactly how far we're going. As we talked about, 100 laps, 200 miles. We expect the be about 30 laps for a fuel stint.
Yeah, I think Brian is expecting a long green flag run here, so he pitted early to kind of top off. Is back in the middle of the field, so he's in a little bit of a danger spot, but we'll see how that plays out as we get along.
Pace cars in. Dan Guerin with a great jump. Your top 5, Guerin, Cohn, Karam now up to 3rd. Goodman and Wardlow. Karam up 7 spots already. Looking for another one as Karam works to the inside of Cohn. Cohn with some momentum we're going to go 3 wide early on. Sage don't want to stick it in there. He'll just wait side by side up front. Dan Guerin putting those left sides right on the yellow line.
Yeah, Sage looking really aggressive here. Here he goes right up the middle. He's going to try to take that lead. I honestly think that you'd want to not lead so you can save some fuel. But Sage is thinking differently than me. He wants to get right up front, although Dan Guerin's hugging that yellow line, able to hold that position as we line up side by side, 1st and 2nd rows.
Michael Goodman as we ride on board with the car inside of row 2. Sitting now in 4th position. Karam got credited with leading lap number 5. We're going to finish up lap number 6 right now. And there's going to be an attack on it, but nope, one more time. No, it's going to be Dan Guerin this time with credit with the lead this one.
I don't know what happened with that restart, but we got two distinctive packs now going with first through 10th, and then there's a gap to Andrew Kinsella leading that second pack. So something must have happened on that restart.
Ron Hacker sitting in 10th right now, the caboose of the lead pack. They coming on working lap number 7. They'll be working lap number 8.
Jason
Familiar
Galvin
names back there. Yeah, look at this 3
Jason
wide.
Galvin looking, yep. 3 wide all the way around. You can run 3 wide pretty easily all the way around this track. So, like I said earlier, running that bottom line is going to be the faster way, but eventually Dan's going to burn those tires off.
Fun racing up front.
Yeah, it's pretty much a draft fest. You know, it's just pretty much just finding your rhythm, finding where the momentum's going. Early on into this race, we're only working lap 8 of 100, so I think everybody's just kind of feeling it out at the moment.
If you look on the tower there on screen left, you can see the top 10 all within, what would that be? About 0.6 of a second, then the big gap back to, right now it's Andrew Kinsella. And actually, the racing back at 11th, a little more intense than it is up front right now. Kinsella, that's Ken Hacker. The white and blue and gold car down low, that's Big Joe Hasser.
Yeah, it's just as angry. A pack running in the 11th through, looks like 24th position. These guys are probably trying to get up to that lead pack, but early on, you might not want to be up there. So if anything happens, you have room to miss them.
Look at that beautiful Wolverine sky pushing down on the racetrack here in Michigan. We ride off the tail of Big Joe there for a minute. Now you get the long shot. Oh, love that shot. Yeah. Close quarter racing, but very well behaved other than that first incident we had early on, lap number 3.
Yeah, I think everybody's just kind of lining up, just seeing what's going on. It's going to get hectic as we get closer to the end. You're not going to be able to get away, so there's no reason to overdrive the car. It's going to be a pack race all the way to the end. Right now, Dan Guerin just happy to hug that bottom line all the way around, trying to make these guys go the long way. As you can see, that Sage Karam recently running second. He's dropped all the way back to 10th spot, so I don't know if that was by design. Maybe he realized he was burning too much fuel and just decided to drop back and hit the draft and just ease off a little bit. Jason Galvin still trying to make those runs on the outside. Not quite able to make it happen. He's in the lead going into the corner, but you can see as that shortest distance around the track is going to push him up to the front as we ride on board with Dustin Wardlow. You can see how close they're getting to the wall on the exit of the corner. And as these tires start to burn off, they're going to start wandering up farther and farther up that lane.
Having fun while it feels good. Sometimes when the tires burn off, things settle down a little bit, and that's when we get our long green flag runs. Not that far from a pit stop, about halfway through a stint.
Yeah, I can go about 30 laps, they say, but we did have some early yellow flags, so you can save quite a bit of fuel. So it's about under yellow. Usually it's about 1.5 laps for every lap of yellow.
Getting a little close there, but they keep it going.
Already working lap 15 here. Laps go by quick, and we'll run under the green. You can see how that line is forming up on the outer groove as we go into the corners. Ooh, very close running between Guerin and Jason Galvin. Oh, big crash. Big crash.
Looks like getting in the wall first was Dustin Wardlow. He almost turns over.
Ron Hacker does turn over.
Ron does. So Wardlow gets in the wall, Hacker goes by him, and then Hacker kind of glances off him, puts him in the wall, and he goes over. got a little bit squeezed up there.
He looks like he was trying to take that high line and just ran out of room and rode the roll and kind of collected Ron Hacker there. Unfortunately, both those guys are probably, I know Ron Hacker is out of the race. We'll see if Dustin can repair that car. We do have a yellow flag, so I'm going to guess that everybody's going to be coming in.
Just got to credit a few drivers. Great job from Adam Blocker and Sage Karam to avoid the incident. Coming around, I think you're probably right. This should be everybody coming in this time around.
Yeah, it's long enough now to where you're going to want to come in. Might as well top off, take some fuel. There's no reason to stay out and just get swallowed up later on. I have a feeling that we're going to get some green flag stops here as soon as we settle down a tiny bit.
Galvin is first to pit lane. Now, pit lane probably not Jason Galvin's forte. Let's see how he does here today. Not so much about how long it takes him to put fuel in, but it's entrances and exits off a pit lane that sometimes can catch him. Michael Goodman misses his pit box. He had to back up. That's going to cost him.
Jason Galvin out and away.
There you go. See? Soup. Don't tell me what my weaknesses are. Dan Guerin gets the nod over Tony Schowen.
Yeah, Tony had a good pit stop. He almost beat Dan out. Obviously, Michael Goodman had some problems, so he's going to fall down the line. But this is going to basically re-rack him, and we'll line him up again.
If you're fans of Chris Lanini, well, he's the contrarian, as he's the only driver who stays out. This is bad news for Justin Weaver, as Justin Weaver is trapped behind Lanini. Now, if Lanini comes in, if you remember right, Lanini was involved in that first incident. So he took a pit stop. He's only been out there, well, about 5 laps less than the rest of these guys. Justin Weaver had anything to say about it, he'd recommend that the 92 come in. And maybe he will. No, he's just teasing us. Here he comes. Some people do anything to get a little bit of screen time. All right, the lights are off, the pace car, so we'll go around this time. 2 miles. She'll bring it in, and we'll go racing again. We're working lap number 19 when we get back to racing at speed. All right, Richie, let's talk about you being here once they do this final lap before we go green. You were telling me some pretty scary speed numbers when you were here last.
Yeah, back in 98, 99, we were running those cars, almost 1,000 horsepower in practice. I saw 250 miles an hour going into turn 1. So at that point, you're starting to question the integrity of everything you're driving, but it is pretty exhilarating to see that on your dash. Yeah, I always love this place. Some guys didn't like it. I love the kind of ebb and flow of it all. And there's plenty of room here where you can just run whatever groove you want. It's just a matter of, hitting that, timing it just right.
It's like 40% to the speed of sound, baby.
Yeah, it's pretty fast. It's kind of something you really don't want to see on your dash, but it was exciting.
Richie Hearn raced here 3 times as far as I can figure out. His best finish? Well, we'll save that for a minute. We'll see if Richie knows what his best finish was here. Pace car is in. We got the Bakersfield boy, Jason Galvin, leading the field across the line right now. Dan Guerin's been racing up front the whole race. He sits in second. Tony Schowen back in third.
Yeah,
Good
Jason
mover, Adam
Galvin.
Blocker. Go ahead.
Doing good. I was just going to say, Jason Galvin starting 7th, leading the race. Give a shout out to Tony Schowen so far, 14th up to 3rd, right in the tail of Dan Guerin, looking to go to the outside, make it 3 wide maybe. And Jason Galvin's going to go right down to the bottom where Dan was all the first part of the race at.
Yeah, but worked for Garrett's going to work for Galvin. They go side by side, punching a big hole in the air for Tony Schowen. Here comes Michael Goodwin and the Watchman. Michael Cohn. Mark Cohn.
Yeah, Michael Goodman trying to make up for that
Rewind.
not so great pit stop. Oh, here we go.
Whee!
Tony Schowen going to the bottom, putting Jason Galvin in the middle. We got a new leader with Tony Schowen.
He sat back up there and he used 2 cars as a draft. Let's see if he gets credit for leading the lap. Because here comes Galvin. It's going to be close. No! The Watchman gets credit. Not going to lead into corner number 1, though, as Galvin's having too much fun. Up top, that is Dan Guerin.
Yeah, Tony Schowen got credit for the lead, but he's also already been shuffled. Yeah, Sage is going to be moving up. He was running in the back there, kind of moving back up. I think he's trying to just practice his moves for later in the race. He knows he has a strong car, and he knows where to put it. Doesn't want to show all his cards right at the beginning.
I think Mark Cohn may be saying, you can practice somewhere else, man. Not next to me. Sage Karam on a roll now, fighting for that first spot. Let's see if he can power around the wide side. Gets a good drive off of 2. Look at the hole, though, that's punched for Dan Guerin. Putting the toothpaste back in the jar is Guerin, but that's not going to work.
I know, Dan Guerin is looking to go right up the middle. It got a little tight. Here goes Sage Karam, though. He's really squeezing down Jason Galvin. That was really close, and here comes, that's going to bring along Dan Guerin as well. I think Jason might have had to lift a little bit or decided to lift and let these two fight it out for a little bit.
Yes, there is a big field here. We still have many cars still on the lead lap, 33 of them, but right now we're going to keep our attention up front for a minute. I've been doing this long enough. My spidey senses are tingling. These guys are close to making a mistake and taking out a lot of cars.
Yeah, they're running pretty aggressive, I think, for this early in the race. But, you know, sometimes when it's this easy, it's easy to kind of take advantage of that. But unfortunately, sometimes that causes mistakes. And even behind these guys, look at, oh, little contact between Guerin and Galvin in the middle of 1 and 2. It's going to push Galvin up high line. And here comes Mark Cohn, started second, looking to get back up to the front.
Cohn's got to figure probably the safest place to be up here. Only have to worry about one driver, and he's a professional sitting to my left. That is Sage Karam. Let me correct myself. Boy, Soup, you're making a lot of mistakes tonight. That's Dan Guerin to the left of Cohn.
And here comes Jason Galvin with, he's got Sage Karam basically almost pushing him down that back straightaway. You're going to go 3 wide into turn 3. Mark Cohn's going to back out of it a little bit. Sage is going to back out of it a little bit. So we're going to go back to 2 wide down that front stretch. Michael Goodman looking to get back up into the mix. And then you can see back there a huge pack of cars. So instead of 2 packs like we had earlier, we got 1 big one.
Car with a bit of momentum back in 8th. Brian Yazik trying to get up there. He's got Adam Blocker in front of him. You see those 2 blue cars. That's Blocker on the outside. The one with a little bit of yellow trim on it, that's Yazik. They come up, and here comes Yazik again. I can feel he just feel he felt like going. He gets around Schowen. Now he tucks in behind the Watchman, Mark Cohn.
Yeah, Brian Yazik earlier was running 3rd, came in for that early pit stop, and it didn't really work out because they had another yellow, everybody coming in, so everybody's on the same page at the moment, and he's looking to try to get back up to that 3rd or better position. Dan Guerin, he does a great job at protecting that line on these ovals, and he's fighting those guys off left and right. Here comes Jason Galvin. He's going to have the lead going into 1, but that momentum and that lower line is going to bring it back to Dan Guerin. Sage Karam back there looking for somewhere to go. I have a feeling Sage is going to try to go right up the middle if there's an opening, but there is not, so he's going to hold back.
Sage not scared to put his nose cone right on the gearbox of the car in front of him. Right now, that would be Jason Galvin. Karam comes across in 3rd. I have a feeling Mark Cohn feels like the only sane man in a room full of maniacs out there. They are just flying all over the place. Tony Shalin now makes the move.
Yeah, Sage is pretty aggressive there. He's already had a little bit of an incident early on where he got a little too close. I think it was Chris Lanini, I think that was. I can't remember who that was. He spun out, but he's got to be a little bit careful, kind of judge that a little bit better.
It is Lanini. 28-car pack with Joe Flanagan back in 28th. Joe, if you feel like you're safe, I really don't think you are because these cars are all in a pack here. Not really enough time to react even from 28th position if something were to happen up front.
Sage is definitely looking for a way to get around, so he is right on the gearbox of Jason Galvin. Now Galvin's going to pull down a little bit lower right in front of Dan Guerin, take that lead. That's going to bring Sage Guerin right around the outside of Dan as well. That's also bringing up Michael Goodman and Tony Schoen back into the picture.
You can see the tower there. It goes down to 25th. All the way down to Flanagan in 28th position. 3 seconds separate between the leader and the end of the lead pack, 28th.
Right now, Sage Guerin got around Dan Guerin. He's going to sneak onto the outside of Jason Galvin. Looks like Dan Guerin's going to look to that third groove up to the top. Not going to make it happen just yet. It has been about 15 laps since we pitted last, so the tires are going to start burning off. We're going 3 wide into turn 3.
Want to be nonchalant about it, but there it is again. Karam on the low side. Galvin with a little bit of a run. Galvin tucks right in behind. Now he dips down below. Who led at the line? It was Karam by 4 1/1000ths of a second. But the momentum goes to Galvin.
Yeah, Karen did lead, but he just left that bottom lane open. I don't know if he did that on purpose, but Jason Galvin took it. The door was open. He walked right on in. He's going to stay on the bottom, and Sage is going to try to go around the outside with Dan Guerin right on his gearbox.
We ride on board with Dan Guerin. Boy, you can see them all fanned out. One of the cars back there in 10th position is our top rookie, Daneman Martinez. He's on the top side, right behind that Dodger blue car of Adam Blocker. Now Martinez moves down to the inside, trying to pick up a few more spots. Got Big Joe Hassard behind him. That car down low, don't worry about that. That was Justin Weaver.
Yeah, Justin Weaver having some issues. He's already, he's basically 2 laps down, so something's happened to him where he's not able to keep pace. Here comes Jason Galvin going to try to take the lead from Sage, and it looks like he's going to as they go into turn 1, right along that white-yellow line. Working lap 35. Sorry, go ahead.
Indeed, we got a nice long run going. Guerin looking at the bottom. Let's see if he gets credited with leading this lap. I don't think so. I think it's going to belong to Karam.
Now, interesting to note, Jason Galvin was running the bottom, and he moved right up to along the wall on the outside edge. So I don't know if he's finding out his tires are starting to wear out. We are getting into a point in the race where we haven't seen yet for 19 laps since the last pit stop. So I think you're going to start seeing that outside line a little bit better than being right down on the bottom. Even Sage Karam has moved up high. Dan Guerin's still running that middle to bottom, but I think as we burn the fuel and tires off, I think that momentum around the outside is going to be the way to go.
20 lap stint for everybody here, so we're going to be looking at a pit stop pretty soon as they race beneath the clouds here. One of the fluffy billows in Michigan floating by.
Definitely want to see some green flag pit stops because I think the guy who can come off turn 4, which is very tricky because that pit speed limit is pretty much right off the corner, so getting slowed down is tricky. I think the guys that can do that the best will have a huge advantage. I think we'll see some mistakes if we get some green flag pit stops.
If you're an experienced viewer of this series, you'll notice that right when it gets about pit stop time, that the action starts to heat up a little bit. Drivers like to be first down into pit lane.
Yeah, Tony Schoen took the lead the last time around, but he's getting swallowed up.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we got one car off into the grass.
Jason Galvin, he's got out of the grass. He's going straight.
Oh, boy.
He's bouncing. He's hurt the front wing, but he brings it back out. I don't think we're going to get a yellow. That was a nice job of some agricultural driving by Jason Galvin.
He got about 10 feet of air there going through that infield lane, but looks like he just got a little bit loose off of floor. And I think this is where you're going to start seeing basically the tires wearing out and that low line hurting him. Good job keeping it going. He does have some damage, but he's going to be able to keep in the game. He will be able to fix that nose on his next pit stop.
I said that Galvin may not be good on pit lane. He's pretty darn good on the grass, though.
It's tough to do to hold that wheel straight. The thing is, don't overcorrect. Just let it go. And he did a good job, but it's kind of singled out the field a little bit. We got single file line, but I think you saw a little bit of example of how those tires can wear out.
I think you had 28 to 30 drivers all with their helmets cocked to the left there, making sure that Galvin didn't come back out in front of them.
Dan Guerin taking the lead back from Sage Karam, but you can see everybody's migrating up to the top line. Not as many people running to the bottom. Tony Schoen doing a good job coming back up to the front. Brian Yazik as well, up to 5th spot. So he's gotten back to close to where he was before that early pit stop at the beginning of the race.
Everybody on the same strategy. So this is not the case where we'll see like two sets of two different races going on here. Everybody's been out there for about 24 to 25 laps. Now, granted, the guys up front, Guerin and Karam and Shao and those guys, they may have been using up a little more fuel as they've been a little more aggressive.
Guys to keep an eye on, though, are Adam Blocker and Andrew Kinsella, especially Adam Blocker. He's really good at saving fuel, so he's all the way up to 5th spot, starting 13th. He's been kind of quiet. He's our points leader. But it'll be interesting to see these guys that have been racing hard up front when they come in, and maybe Adam can get an extra lap or two, and that will play a part as we get closer to the end.
Pass for the lead. As we ride on board with Blocker, you can see the pass being done up there.
Working lap 26 from the last stop, so they did say about 30. We did get some yellow flag in there, so this will be, if we go green, it'll be a good indication of how many laps they can do on fuel. And here comes Brian Yazik back to 3rd position. Nice job making his way back, going underneath Tony Schoen. Damon Martinez also doing a great job, up to 5th spot, starting 18th.
Robert Blue in pit lane.
Of course, Damon Martinez, our Rookie of the Year standings leader. Trying to see where the other players are. They're pretty far back. Rigney's down in 26th, John Hill in 28th. So he's got a nice advantage right at the moment.
Jason Galvin rolling out of the pits after he got his front wing repaired. He's going to really want to stay out here.
Yeah, because he's already a lap behind, so he doesn't want to get passed again. Even though there's no lucky dog, if there is a yellow and he's caught between himself and the leader, he can get that wave around.
Or the moon in New York City. I hate when I get cut there. And there it is.
Yeah, there goes Dan Guerin. Although these guys are going to have to pit probably a couple laps, so he'll make that lap up, but he's going to be a little bit off sync to those others.
All right, we are right at green flag stops. Everybody behave themselves. Let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, we did have a little bit of yellow, so I'm expecting about lap probably 32, 33.
Kinsella tries to make it
no.
stop, and he loops it around in pit lane.
That's exactly what I was bringing up earlier. That off that turn 4 into pit lane is really tricky, and that pit lane speed limiter area is right off the oval. Here comes Dan Guerin, and I think Dan Guerin is coming in pretty hot, so we'll see if he got a penalty or not, but he might have got slowed down. Brian Yazik right behind him.
Hassard, Cone also in there. Micus.
Sage Karam going around again. So not everybody's able to pit at that lap. I'm assuming Sage will come in this lap. And he is slowing down.
Tony Shallon.
Oh, Sage spins out, going in. Exactly what I'm talking about. This is the key, though. He's going to lose some time. At the speeds they're going, 1 second is 100 yards, and right behind him, another car spins.
David Altman. Holy moly.
Oh, and Sage almost loses it into his box again. He misses it and has to back up. So just remember, at these speeds, every second is 100 yards. So that's a lot of track position. Here's the replay.
There's Kara.
Too much rear brake bias is what it looks like.
And then right behind him, Altman spins. There's Altman. Everybody coming in now.
Yep, everybody coming in. The key is going to be our leader from before, Dan Guerin. He pitted. We'll see where he comes out relative to some of those others that had problems.
Damon Martinez inherited the lead, but now he comes and he has trouble getting it loaded up.
And you're trying to make up so much all the time you can, but
Paul
it just
Jenkins,
comes up
who
to
was
you
in
quick.
second, he spun it and just nosed it in the wall, coming into pit lane. He's lost his nose.
Yeah, there we go. Just kind of what I pointed out. That's going to be real important on these green flag stops. This is really going to shake up the field.
So we're going to look at Jenkins, and I think this all settles down. I'm looking maybe Brian Yasek as our leader. We'll see. Ouch. There you have that. Richie Hearn, you surely did talk about it, the issues from pit lane. Yasek is our leader. Was our leader, as now they're right behind. That's Galvin, who's a lap down. The car up top, that's your new leader. That's Big Joe Hassard from 32nd position up to 6th. Hassard, Yazik, Guerin. You can see it on the tower to the left.
Yeah, Big Joe, he must have had a hell of a pit stop. We didn't catch that because he's gotten right in front of Yazik and Guerin. Although they're right behind him right now, but he's moved up, like I say, from 32nd all the way to the first on merit. So nice job to him.
Honestly, his time about the same as everybody else. This might have been, he stayed out there a while. Maybe he was running some fast laps. Well, everybody else had a full load. Good to see Big Joe up front.
I was saying Jason Galvin right in that mix. He's still a lap down. He lost 2 laps on that mistake he had. So he's looking to get by Big Joe, and maybe a yellow flag will come out and he can get the wave around. But right now he's not there. Here comes Dan Guerin right down to the bottom, take that position from Big Joe. He's gotten around Brian Yazik.
27 drivers on the lead lap, the last one being Paul Jenkins, who nosed it into the pit lane wall. He got a fresh nose piece, and he's still out there on the lead lap, 23 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, just a second ago we were riding on board with Michael Goodman sitting in 4th spot, so he's doing a good job. He had a problem on one of those pit stops, so he's able to get back into play. Looks like we have basically a 5-car group here, including Jason Galvin. We'll make it 6, but the top 5 guys are kind of separating themselves from the rest of the pack, which starts with Sage Karam. You can see how much time Sage has lost with those mistakes on the pit lane. He was the leader, and now he's basically almost about 2 seconds back.
Now, I just want to get you into the thinking here of car number 42, Jason Galvin. As he begins to lose position, he is a lap down. If he were able to get to the front when the yellow flag would come out, correct me if my thinking is wrong on this, Richie, he'd be able to come around, and then when everybody pits, he comes in right behind him, and he's back on the lead lap again. So,
yeah, that's basically the only way you can get your lap back. There's no wave around, or no lucky dog. So he's got to get to the front, have a yellow flag come out, then he can get back on the lead lap. Right now, he's just kind of stuck in that where he's at. If the yellow does come out, unless he doesn't pit, he's going to be basically still a lap down.
And how about a new name as our leader? Coming across, going to lead lap number 56, working 57. The New York driver, Michael Goodman, but that's short-lived as there goes Dan Guerin. I'll have none of that.
Yeah, good job, Michael Goodman, getting back up to the front. Looks like we have a 5-car battle, all the way back to Tony Schoen. And we have that gap to the rest of the field, which is Sage Karam, Martinez, and Zaldo doing a good job, starting 17th up to 8th. Adam Blocker in that group as well. Dan Guerin goes to the bottom, takes that position back from Michael Goodman. So looking at the numbers, if we go green all the way, we still have, 42 laps to go. So they will need one more stop if we go, well, even no matter what, we got to have one more stop. But I'm hoping for green flag stops since it really mixes that thing up.
Yes, indeed. Director, let's drop back to 6th and 7th position right now. This is Damon Martinez and Sage Karam. These guys are doing their best to try to get back up to the lead pack, and they're not that far back behind Galvin there, who's back. They're there now.
Yeah, they've made up that gap. It was 2 seconds when we talked about it earlier. Now it's down to basically 1. So it was a group of 4 or 5. Now it's basically a group of 10.
Both Martinez and Karam get around. Martinez is not done, though. Martinez now moving to the inside. He gets around Schoen. The momentum from Miazek up top. Martinez took it in really shallow. He's going to lose a lot of momentum side by side with Schoen right now. Damon Martinez, our top rookie, up to 5th.
Yeah, looking at the points too, Dan Guerin really he has to win this race. He has no more mulligans left. So he's got to do everything he can to win this race. Adam Blocker, our points leader, he's got a really healthy points lead, so he doesn't have to do anything crazy. Just kind of hang where he's at.
Healthy points lead and a nice little bit of drop insurance in his pocket in case things go south. That was Andrew Kinsella down low. Go ahead, Adam.
I was just gonna bring that up. Andrew Kinsella was only about a point behind Guerin. He's 8 laps down after he had that accident into the pit lane, so he's effectively out of this race. So that's going to be a little bit of gap that if Dan can stay where he's at, he can gain on him.
Let's watch Karam. He's got another feather in his bonnet here as he goes around Martinez, and now he works his way around Big Joe Hazard, got himself up to 3rd. Since the inside seems to work, how about Brian Yazek in that blue and yellow machine?
Also looking at the rookie point standings, Damon Martinez sitting there in 6th. His closest competitors are nowhere. Ryan Carey sitting 27th. Basically, Mike Rigney's 15 laps down, so he's effectively out of the race. John Hill sitting in 24th, so he's looking to separate himself and kind of grasp that Rookie of the Year standings with both hands.
Hill doing what he does, just staying out of trouble. Keeping it nice and clean.
I have a feeling. I was going to say, I have a feeling. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's quiet right now, but as we get to like 20 to 10 laps to go, I think we're going to see some craziness out there.
Goodman underneath Guerin for the lead. Joe Hassard, who started up front when we went green this time, doing a good job. Racing down low, 4th and 5th. The veteran of Hassard racing with the rookie of Martinez. Jason Galvin's hopes of getting to the front, that's not going to happen as he's fallen back. There's 7 cars between him and getting back on the lead lap. Galvin, the first car, 1 lap down. Director, I'd like to go to car number 38 in 29th position, Brian Greenlee. We talked about Professor Lugnuck celebrating his 50th year on the planet. Making his 50th race appearance is Brian Greenlee today. Good job. All by himself. There you can see what's going on with our profile driver. That's big 50 right there, baby. His first start was back in Pocono. I'll tell you this, though. He's coming off his best result of the season. First top 10, 8th place last time out. That's Charlotte. Brian, it's not easy being Greenlee. Fan favorite. Pass for the lead. I say it with a cavalier attitude as Michael Goodman goes under Dan Garrett.
Pack up front is thinned out just a little bit, all the way back to 8th place Adam Blocker. George Anzaldo sitting in 9th. He's kind of hanging on there. But from that back to Tyler Graff, it's a pretty big gap there. So surprisingly, that kind of thinned it out up front. Everybody's running single file, as you can see on screen, running that high line, getting to that point in the tire run, about 10 laps from pit stops. And we might see the cars getting a little bit sketchy, people taking it easy, just getting ready for those last round of pit stops.
Let's go back and look at 11th position real quick. This is a hard charger. Up 15 spots is Stefan Larkamp. Let's call it 14, or as Bob Mikas goes underneath him. Another driver back there. Isaiah Dupree. They race in 11th, 12th, and 13th. About 2 seconds behind the lead pack. That car they're working their way around is Brian Carey. Carey 1 lap down.
Dan Guerin, Michael Goodman switching spots up front. Sage Karam just hanging tight in 3rd. Pretty quiet up front, though. Not as crazy it was earlier. I think everybody's just going to, like I said, getting settled for that last pit stop. Laps are going by quick under green flag conditions, working lap 70 of 100, so we're getting closer to the end. Probably about 7 to 8 laps before we pit. Not going to need a full tank of fuel, so some calculations are going to be needed to make sure you just enough fuel. You don't want too much because the heavier the car, the slower you are.
Big names that are out, of course. The watchman, Mark Cohn, who started on the outside of row 1, he's called it a day. Outside of row 2 was the Candyman, Dustin Weaver. His day is done. I'm sorry, Dustin Wardlow. Speaking of Weaver, let's see if where is the Moby Dickie's machine here today.
Yeah, he's struggling in 30th spot, 4 laps down, so he must have had some contact in some of those earlier wrecks.
"26 cars on the lead lap. We are about 5 laps away from pit stops again.
Yeah, Dan Guerin pitted 2 laps earlier than most
did.
of these folks. He's going to be coming in a little bit earlier, but kind of going back and forth with Michael Goodman. Looks like big wreck. Ooh, boy.
Starts with Sage Karam. He gets upside down. Looked like he got into it with Tony Schowen. He goes up. Also involved in it are rookie Damon Martinez. Taking evasive action down low was Blocker and Big Joe Hassard. Those two cars on the inside. That's Martinez. Karam is already up into the fence.
Yeah, looking at the replay, it looks like Sage was coming up as Choney was coming down. And just kind of just one of those things. And just caught each other. And as Sage goes in the wild, the other guys behind him had nowhere to go.
Director, how about an onboard from Brian Yosick? Is that doable? Here we go. Sometimes things just work out your way. Don't know if he turned the wheel at all here. I'll just go right here. There we go. We're going to go on board. If you got a Dramamine, you might want to pop it here, as we're going to be upside down. Right on board with Sage Cameron.
Yeah, you can see he's running the bottom line. He just kind of drifts up. He's got a little bit of understeer. He's got a lot of steering input, but I think Tony was coming down too. So just kind of one of those incidents, just one of those things. Everybody's coming in for pit.
My stomach thanks you for getting off the onboard camera on that one, Director. One more time from Schoen.
Yeah, you can see he's running the high groove, and he just kind of comes down. They just come together, just looking for the same spot, just kind of a racing incident. Everybody's coming into the pit lane. So what's this going to do? This means it's going to be a 25-lap sprint race to the end. No holds barred. Oh, Dan Guerin missed his box, had to back up. Here comes the group, and looks like Schoen, even though he was involved in that wreck, he just kept going. He didn't have any problems. He's going to take the lead.
Yeah, Blocker, Yosick, round out your top five. As they work the way around the track, we'll take a short break. Don't go far. We'll be back before we go green. You're watching GSRC on IESN.
The Sim Pit is an entertainment channel dedicated to the world of simulated motorsports. The Sim Pit is a leader in providing the sim racing community with news, reviews, interviews, DIY pieces, and instructional videos to make sim racing a better experience for all. Check us out at thesimpit.com or go to YouTube and just search for The Sim Pit.
Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. It's round 16, the Sim Racers for Mental Health 200. Leading the field to the green flag will be Tony Schoen, working lap number 77. Right behind him is the man who's been racing up front for so much of the race, Dan Guerin. In third, it's your point leader, Adam Blocker. Brian Yosick in fourth. with veteran George Anzaldo up 12 spots in 5th.
Yeah, this is going to be one of, if he can stay there, one of his best finishes. We got Dan Guerin going to the inside of Tony Schoen, trying to take that lead. Brian Yazek also going to the inside of Adam Blocker, trying to take him to that 3rd spot. And we're on our way to the end.
24 cars on the lead lap, the last one being Samuel Ryman. Jason Galvin's effort to get back on the lead lap will have to wait at least for another stint as he races in 25th. First car 1 lap down.
Yeah, it's fast and furious up front. Tony Schoen took the lead, but here comes Dan Guerin going to take it back. I would like to point out, I mentioned Damon Martinez, our rookie standing leader. He is out of the race. That is going to give points to those other gentlemen who are still in the race. John Hill, Mike Rigney, those guys.
Yep.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Again, you touched on it in the pre-race show. It's all about consistency with Damon having that problem. That's going to open the door for John to make a run up there. Meanwhile, our leader is Tony Schoen with Dan Guerin on the outside.
We line up side by side going into turn 3. Starting to shuffle around a little bit. We have Tony Schoen in the lead, but Dan Guerin's going to take it back. Adam Blocker on the inside. Brian Yazek on the outside. George Anzaldo doing a good job hanging in there in that pack there on the outside. He's got Michael Goodman right below him trying to take that position.
Sometimes you just get the feeling with Adam Blocker that he just sits back there until he says, all right, time for me to show these boys what the championship is all about. Blocker now working to the top, trying to get the lead.
He is our defending champion as well.
Look at the run up on top. That is George Anzaldo right behind that blue car of Blocker.
Brian Yazek, awesome job getting it back up to 2nd spot. He's going to look for the lead here. Going to take that bottom lane. Adam Blocker thought about going with him, but he's not going to. Brian Yazek is our point man with Dan Guerin right behind him. After that, they're spread out 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 and back.
They are indeed, and all those cars with a chance to get up there.
Yeah, with that yellow flag, we've just re-racked the whole field, brought them all together. So 1st through 24th, it's only 6 seconds. So even that guy, Samuel Ryman, in 24th has a chance if something happens up front here. Adam Blocker put him in the lead. He's probably tired of following people and looking, he's probably thinking it's safest to be up front.
Look at that pack, weaving back and forth as they come at you.
Got 17 laps to go, working lap 83. 17 and a half laps to be exact. Tires should not be an issue, so it's going to be a straight up fight. Who can read the draft the best? Who can get that momentum? It's going to be a close finish.
As they come around. Car I'd like to talk about. Currently in 15th position, car number 5. Brian Beard having a nice run as he continues to work now. He got around Altman. Little by little he's been coming. He's in there with Joe Branch, within striking distance. Just a few spots up. You can see him making the move on the inside. That's Joe Cannigan Flanagan, who has now worked his way into the top 10.
Yeah, Big Joe started. Oh, that's Big Joe Hazard I'm talking about. You're talking about Joe Flanagan. Yeah, 33rd to 11th. Big Joe, 32nd to 6th. Up front, it's kind of single file, but man, where you're talking in that beehive area, it's getting nuts.
Pass for the lead. Schoen going underneath.
I think you're seeing right now a little bit of strategy like with Dan Guerin. I don't think you want to be leading coming to the white flag. You want to be able to draft down that back straightaway and take that lead.
All right, now with a run, that's George Anzaldo. He gets Flanagan. He gets Anzaldo. Here he comes. George Anzaldo with a run for the ages. He goes by 6 cars, shoots up into 4th.
Right to the bottom, squeezed out. Basically, I think that was who was that he squeezed out? It was Michael Goodman, I think.
Bob Mikas in the midst now. Oh, he has to check up as he almost gets to Anzaldo. Mikas loses momentum.
Dan Guerin going to the lead. Tony Schoen on the inside. Now we got side by side. Big Joe right there in 3rd, taking the bottom lane away from Brian Yazik, bringing George Anzaldo. We got a good mix of drivers here. It's going to be exciting right down to the finish.
Oh, look at them up. They are just packed tight. One little mistake, and we'll take out the entire field up front. Schoen down low, Guerin up top. Here comes the run from down below. It's the HPP car of Brian Yazik. Hello.
Brian Yazik goes from like 4th or 5th right to the front. So you can see these guys kind of lining up their moves for that last run. You don't have to be 1st or 2nd. It looks like you could take the lead from any position. You definitely don't want to be leaving that bottom lane open going into turn 3, so that's going to be something for these guys to watch. I still think that Dan Guerin has something for everybody. He's been our strongest racer the whole time. I think he's just kind of trying to play it nice and quiet until we get about 3 to 4 to go.
The draft is so strong and the track is so wide that you can make a run from 5th or 6th. Looking to the inside now is Bob Mikas, yep.
Yeah, Bob Mikas going to 3rd spot, going down to the bottom of Tony Schoen, putting Big Joe up to the top. He's going to take that position. Big Joe started holding it steady, though. He's going to take it back as he's got the draft picking up Dan Guerin right in front of him. Now Big Joe's going to go to the bottom. Brian Yazik up to the front.
Oh, we're racing on borrowed time right now with a run to the inside.
I sure hope we go green all the way. Got about 9 laps to go. I want to see where that final move comes from because, like you said earlier, you can make that move from any position, it looks like. So it's going to be the guy who can just put his car just right.
Here's an example of it. Look at Tony Schoen.
That's exactly what I was talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You can get that run just right. You can go from 6th to 1st right to the checkered flag.
Although I'm not sure if there's not going to be a little bit of more blocking going on. We'll see if we can get that kind of run when we're so close. Schoen and Guerin almost get together.
Yeah, Dan Guerin really needs this win more than anything else. We got Adam Blocker sitting back in 8th. He's got the most to lose, so he's got to just fight for everything he can get. But Tony Schoen doing a good job holding on to that position. He's giving it up just now to Dan Guerin. So Dan Guerin goes back to the point man. Put Tony Schoen back in 2nd. George Anzaldo, awesome job all the way up to 3rd.
Blocker, who we just saw made his way up front, he's now fallen back to 9th. Isaiah Dupree in the top 10 now. You got to watch up front, but you got to watch about 3 rows back for the guy who gets the run. Owen to the top side, making it work. That's Joe Hassard. It's around Schoen. Now with a little momentum, working on Guerin. Those 2 cars punch a big hole, and sure enough, that is Tony Schoen going down low. Oh, almost getting into it.
Dan Guerin and Tony Schoen, and that's going to bring in Brian Yazik. That's going to shuffle Dan Guerin back about 3 or 4 spots. Oh, and there we go. Bob Mikas gets right into the back of Dan Guerin.
And it's getting everybody.
And
it's an octopus falling out of a tree.
Yeah, unfortunately, that move started early on where Dan had to get out of it, where he almost got into Tony Schoen. That brought the whole pack up on top of him. Unfortunately, Bobby Mikas just had too much momentum to miss him.
A lot of cars involved in that one.
Yeah, right out of 3, Dan Guerin had to get out of the gas, and the pack is swallowing him up. Bob Mikas just comes up, just has so much momentum. He goes to the inside, but Dan didn't see him and just kind of goes to block, and that's just the way it goes. Here you go on board with Bob Mikas. You can see he goes low, and Dan goes to block. I don't think he realized how much momentum he had, and that's the end of both their wins.
Mikas bounces up into Goodman. You're going to see Goodman. He's third to the scene here after Guerin and Mikas get together. Boom. Goodman goes over. Isaiah Dupree also went tumbling. Here goes Dupree.
Yeah, that's too bad for some good guys who are doing good. But let's look at what we have left here. We got Big Joe Hassard on the point with Tony Schell, Brian Yazik, George Anzaldo, Joe Branch. Look at those guys from 4th through 8th, starting 17th, 21st, 27th, 33rd, 26th. So it shows you that qualifying is not that important. It looks like we're going to have probably, what, a 2-lap shootout?
Yeah, I'm thinking. Rookie Dave Hill, not involved in that incident. He's in 15th. He's going to come into pit lane. Everybody stays out. Guys a little farther back. Lewin coming in.
Yeah, at this point, unless you need fuel, there's no point in coming in. Tires aren't that important at this point. It's just track position is. So we got to have a little bit of a run here at the end. Tony Shallon's been pretty strong. Big Joe has been strong. Brian Yazik definitely has been strong. George Anzaldo's been really strong up there. Hopefully he can get a good finish out of this. He's had some bad luck lately. Should be exciting with about, like I said, about a two-lap showdown.
And we saw Flanagan work his way through the field. He is back in 7th, certainly within striking distance. David Altman is in 6th. Honestly, coming out of 4 on that final run, you could win it from 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th if there's enough room.
Yeah, we've already seen those moves happen already. So if you time it just right, it's a matter of just getting to that bottom lane. Whoever's on the lead, man, don't give up that yellow line no matter what. Make them go around the outside.
Richie, does Big Joe Hassard, does he have to worry about this restart, about getting too far in front, or is it just time to go and protect that inside line?
Nah, I think at this point it's just time to go protect that inside line.
3 to go. And the lights are off the pace car. So we're looking at a 4-mile sprint, 2 laps. Big Joe, Tony Schallon, go ahead.
I was going to say, Big Joe, even though you're leading, he's in a tough spot. So he's going to have to hold that bottom line. But we've seen that the momentum off of 4 has squeezed them just to the line. So about the only thing he can do is just hold that bottom line and just hope for the best. I think Brian Yazik, honestly, is in the best spot because he's going to have 2 cars he can draft on if they're going side by side, and he can just pick a lane and just squeeze his way through. So we'll see. Hopefully we can get through to the checkered flag with no yellows.
Count 10 cars behind the pace car. You'll see Paul Jenkins. Remember him? Last time we saw him, he nosed it into pit lane. He's now in 10th, just behind Ken Hacker. Those guys might be a little bit too far back to make a run for the win. Of course, anything can happen, and we don't know how many cars we're actually going to get to the checkered flag. We'll find out soon. The pace car will pull in. 2 laps to go in the Sim Racers for Mental Health 200. Big Joe Hassard gets on the throttle. Schowen gets going, and Zaldo has a bad start as he is back and forth, losing ground to the driver in third, but there's plenty of time for him to catch up to Yazik. They are spread out up front. About a 2-car length lead from Hazard to Schowen. Here he comes, Richie.
And he's going to take the bottom lane. Big Joe gave it to him. I don't know if that was by design because they are coming to the white flag. I don't know if you want to be leading coming out of 2 on this last lap. So we'll see. Tony Schowen taking the lead. We'll see. Oh, here comes Big Joe. He's going to try to take lead. And as I said, by Ryan Yazik, he's got 2 cars to draft on. It's going to be a 3-car race to the end here. George and Zaldo doing a good job holding off Joe Branch for that 4th spot.
Yazik with a huge lead back to 4th position. It's a 3-car battle, and you could put him under a blanket. Hazard up in front. Schowen down below. There's no momentum for Yazik. They go into 3rd. Into the 3rd corner. Schowen tries to get underneath. Now they come out of 4. Now it's going to be a drag race to the flag. Taking the low line is Hazard. Big Joe Hazard gets the win. He wins the Sim Racers for Mental Health 200. Yazik will take 2nd. Schowen blinked away out of corner number 4. Did he hit the incident limit? I can't believe it if he did. Joe Branch will get 3rd. Tony Schowen nowhere to be seen. And Zaldo and Joe Flanagan rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, it's saying Tony Schowen was removed from the server, so I don't know if he hit his incident limit.
Schowen scored first car 1 lap down in 20th. Watch this. There he blinks away, and that took away really any chance that Yazik may have had of getting a good draft. The car in front of him is not there anymore, and suddenly Yazik has nothing but air in his helmet. Win to the helmet for Brian Yazik. Win to the trophy case for Big Joe Hazard. That's going to do it for us here. The racing is over. We're going to take a short break, but we'll come back, run down the entire finish order, talk to some of the drivers. Hopefully, maybe we'll talk to see what happened to Tony Schowen. Don't go far. We'll be back in a few. You're watching GSRC on IESN.
The Sim Pit is an entertainment channel dedicated to the world of simulated motorsports. The Sim Pit is a leader in providing the sim racing community with news, reviews, interviews, DIY pieces, and instructional videos to make sim racing a better experience for all. Check us out at thesimpit.com or go to YouTube and just search for The Sim Pit.
Welcome back to the Sim Racers for Mental Health 200 and the Plasma Tracks Victory Lane post-race show. If you're struggling to find something for the person who has everything, I have the website for you. Plasma-tracks.com not only produces original racetrack wall art, motorsports trophies, home decor, and motorsports fabrications are also available. Words cannot do justice to the uniqueness of their wares. The only way to fully appreciate their artwork is to see it for yourself. But be warned, one visit and the next thing you know is you'll be trying to convince your spouse why you need a Plasma Tracks wall art hanging in your home. See it all at plasma-tracks.com. Use this promo code LRS2019 to get 25% off your order. And now for 100% of the Sim Pit finishing order here for the Sim Racers for Mental Health 200. Okay, coming out of the final corner was Big Joe Hassard, Tony Schowen, and Brian Yasek. Big Joe was first to the checkered flag. Tony Schowen got sent to the Amelia Earhart Bar and Grill, and Brian Yasek takes second. Joe Branch comes home in third. George Anzaldo and Joe Flanagan. We documented his drive through the field. He gets a top 5 position. Stefan Larkamp, Ken Hacker, Paul Jenkins, who was nosed it into pit lane, gets 8th, with Scotty Johnson. Didn't hear much from him in 9th. And Chris Lanini, who had that early incident, started in 3rd, fell way back, was able to salvage a top 10. Richie?
Yeah, coming in 11th spot is Bart Workman. Started 30th all the way up to 11th. Tyler Graff finishing 12th. Robert Bluen, 25th to 13th. Samuel Ryman started 11th, kind of fell to the back, stayed out of the way, finishes in 14th. Dan Guerin, our pole sitter and probably lead lap leader, finishing 15th after an incident late on. John Hill, 29th to 16th. Adam Blocker, our points leader, got caught up in that late accident as well, finishing 17th. David Altman, 18th. Brandon Limkerman in 19th. And our first car lap down is showing Tony Schowen in 20th.
In 21st, try as he might to get back on the lead lap, but it wasn't meant to be. Jason Galvin. 22nd, Brian Carey. The next 3 spots go to Brian Greenlee, who celebrates his 50th race with a 23rd position finish. Brian Beard after him with Michael Goodman in 25th. The next 5 drivers are Bob Micas, who was up front for a while. He finished the 6th lap down. So was Isaiah Dupree. Justin Weaver had trouble early. He's in 28th position. Andrew Casella was not a factor today. And in 30th, Damon Martinez. Richie?
Yeah, Sage Karam's finishing 31st after running up front for first part of the race. Starting second and unfortunately finishing 32nd is Mark Cohn. He ran up front but got caught up in some other incidences. James Branch finishing 33rd. Mike Rigney, one of our Rookie of the Year contenders, finishing 34th. Dustin Wardlow not having a good day, 35th. Ron Hacker, 36th. And Chris Stouffer finishing out in 37th.
It's interview time, and I get the pleasure of talking with our race winner. It's going to be Big Joe Hassard. Started in 32nd, didn't hear much from him early on. Then about midway, there he is up front, and when it's all said and done, you're first to the checkered flag. Congratulations, Big Joe. We got you. We got you, Joe.
Am I there? All right.
Yeah, we got you.
I
Congratulations.
didn't hear what you said at all, but feels good to get a good win there. It's been a long time. I just felt locked in tonight. I messed up in qualifying, hit the apron, and once I got towards the front, when guys were starting to lose their tires, I just had that baby dialed in. So glad I was able to hold off Tony there.
Started in 32nd with 100 laps. Plenty of time to get to the front. The problem is you're back there amongst it, and he closed calls early on.
I had to dodge that first wreck. It was really weird because there were guys weaving and stuff, and then I'm like, okay, is the yellow coming out? Is the yellow not coming out? Some guys were braking, some guys weren't braking, and then all of a sudden a car flew across the track way late, and then the yellow came out, and then I had to really get on it. I almost ran somebody over. And then I was involved in the last not the second to last caution. Damon had come across and clipped part of my wing off, but luckily we were able to get that fixed and turned it into a win.
Yeah, I'll get you out of here on this one. You had to be relieved after that great restart there with 2 to go that it ended up being a 3-car battle instead of what could have been a 10 or 12-car battle.
Yeah, I kind of purposely held back a little bit. I know the green comes out really late here, so I tried to kind of use that to see if anybody would fall asleep, and I guess it worked. And then I was able to. I told Brian, remember you won this last year, so I was able to get ahead of Tony there, coming in the white, and was able to hold him off.
Well done. Congratulations on the win. It's been a long time coming, but you got one here at a fun track. Good going.
Thanks, guys.
Joe Hassard, our winner today. Richie, I think you're going to get Brian Yazik, our second place finisher.
Yeah, I think so. Brian, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All righty, man. Started 5th, finished 2nd. A little interesting there at the end. I noticed you came in early on that first wreck, maybe topping off with fuel. Obviously, it didn't work out, but it looked really hectic there before that last yellow flag, trying to muscle your way up to the front.
Yeah, Richie, I want to say that we had a plan in this HPP simulation machine, but I thought, tires are sensitive at Michigan, so we thought, maybe a couple laps. I figured I'd drag some of the midfield back, and we go from 5th to, I don't know, 15th or something like that, and it kind of worked. But it was fine kind of beyond that. Just kind of the biggest thing was just patience, the way that this car drove and with the draft and everything like that. You just had to really be patient and take care of it and drive smart. And, it would kind of take care of the guys around you. And it was going to treat you all right.
Yeah, no, it was a good fight up there. And this track lends itself to, you can't really get away. So it's a matter of just positioning yourself properly for the end. And it looked like you could really kind of take that lead from basically 3rd, 4th, or 5th position going into 3. And kind of what were you thinking there at the end, and what was your move?
Well, the way that the restart kind of went, I was really conflicted between being selfish and being happy for Joe, from the team side of things. And we got that run, and Schoen, got a run under him. And once they kind of got stacked up, I knew with the wear that was on the tires, if I tried to rim ride, I was a goner, and it wasn't going to work anyway. So, once we came back around to take the white, I decided, well, let's see if we can, get Big Joe back into victory lane. First time in an IndyCar in a couple of years. So that's really exciting. And we got that run off of 2, and I stuck right behind him. And I said, if you're clear, go down. And they went down, and I had a glimmer of hope where maybe we were going to go up high and they were going to get fighting with each other, and I was going to sneak on by the top side. But that didn't work, and we're going to finish 3rd because it was a glitch there, and they're going to give Schoen his spot back. So, all in all, really solid effort for our HPP simulation, Loud Pedal Motorsports machine, trying to climb back into the top 10 in points for the year's end, missing a whole bunch of races with work stuff and life stuff and, all the fun stuff. So really solid effort. Got some bonus points, finished clean. Happy, I'm ecstatic for Big Joe and the team. I mean, that's awesome. Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, no, this race is kind of a crapshoot, so you can't be too disappointed with 3rd spot. I just saw that as well, that they'll credit Tony with that 2nd spot. So either way, man, good job staying clean, finishing. Some heavy hitters did not, and we'll move on to next week.
Yeah, Richmond, I think, is where we're going. So that'll be exciting. Short track feel. Kind of looking forward to it, and should be a good show. Catch everybody on down the road next week, and everything for that. So again, big shout out to Joe, Big Joe. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us, Brian. Back to you, Soup.
And that'll do it for our drivers. Director, do we have one more interview? Am I correct on this or not? I'm looking. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Let's go ahead. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and talk to George Anzaldo. Here we go. George, congratulations. You're racing up front. Boy, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You had one run during the race where you must have got through, I think, 6 or 7 cars.
Yeah, you know what? The car was feeling good. However, I got some phantom damage early on in that first wreck that hurt my car. It was a little bit off of top speed, but the car kind of came back to me at the end of the run, and I was kind of hanging out at the high side for the majority of the race. And then as the stint carried on, the car kind of came back to me, and as guys were pushing, I don't know, I had a little bit of tires left in there, and yeah, there were a few times where it was like, all right, that's it, let's go, let's try to make something happen here. But it was really tough on the restarts again. I don't think the car had the top end on the restarts there, so I lost a little bit of ground, and then at the end there, Branch got me. But so happy to get the car back up there. It felt good. It's been a while. It's good to get the first medical car up there, and definitely, yeah, it was a great feeling.
That's what our take too was. Restart's probably not your strong suit today, but boy, once the car got going, that car was, you had a good feel for it. You started 17th. That put you back in the danger zone early on. Did you have any close calls early?
Yeah, you know, the action was really close. It was real intense. Initially, I actually had planned on just taking it easy and wasn't even going to qualify, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't call for me. And I said, let's go for it. But, you know, with that being said, I'd like to just give just a public thanks to Andrew Kinsella. I mean, the guy, you know, he's basically our race engineer. He puts in countless hours developing these setups for us to give us the type of racing that we're able to put on, which is just really exciting, especially for everyone who's involved here at Lionheart. So I just want to give a shout out to him. You know, he kind of makes it happen for us on track. It's really tough when you've got close to 40 guys with this type of fixed setup environment, but you know, he always finds a way to make it happen. And also just a shout out to the guys to have that many cars on track with this type of close racing to be able to put on a good show. It's just, I'm really proud of all the guys, and especially for, you know, the admin team for their work to be able to put this on. So I just really proud about that. So I just want to thank all the guys, and just a good feeling to be a part of all this. So
I'll tell you, let's talk a little bit about the setup. I thought the setup was great. It put on a good show. I think it's one weakness might have been the car was really squirrely coming down pit lane. My goodness, we had more problems with guys entering pit lane and having issues.
yeah, for me, you know, I wound up adjusting the bias a little bit to kind of compensate that. And then there was this spot that first seam, the bottom of the track was very sketchy, especially coming off of 3 and 4. You know, if the car really wasn't in the right area there, it unsettled it badly. So that was something that certainly everyone kind of had to watch out for. Yeah, pit road could also, you know, you just never know. And these guys are always at their peak. They're trying to get every little inch and fraction that they can on track. And so guys are looking for that hot pit in because they know, you know, what it means on track, especially with the competition here. So yeah, definitely. If you put it on the edge there, you know, the reward is high, but it's certainly a great risk at losing it.
Congratulations on a 4th place finish. Well done.
Thanks.
And we're going to talk to right now one of the drivers that had an issue on pit lane. We're going to talk to Paul Jenkins. Paul, we were just talking about pit lane. Boy, you had your issues, but you were able to turn around, got yourself an 8th place finish. Well done.
Oh, that was entertaining. Thanks, Soup. Yeah, you know, I didn't have really high hopes for that after that spin. That was just, you know, I'm sure the guys were talking about how the car is just really, really squirrely when you get down off of turn 4. Even on the race line, we had guys in practice that were just spinning. I took a couple of trips down pit lane about 180 miles an hour during practice. Thankfully, I didn't get to repeat that shenanigans. But you know, really good racing. I got to hand it to the setup builders and everything. You know, I really think that this setup brought out the best in the drivers here. It wasn't an easy drive. It took skill, it took concentration, and you know, it was really a good setup. So a decent night. I'm pleased.
Indeed it was. We watched your progress. Congratulations on that top 10 finish, 8th overall. Well done.
Thanks, Soup. Thanks, guys.
Paul Jenkins. That's how you make lemonade out of lemons there. And now we have one more interview, as we're going to talk to Billy Kruska here, one of the guys responsible for Sim Racers for Mental Health. Mr. Kruska, good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. Nice to be up here.
Tell us about Sim Racers for Mental Health.
Pretty much we were created sim racers together to bring the awareness to mental health and other things when we host our monthly events also. But main thing is we, race on here, maybe even console sometime. But pretty much we raise the awareness for mental health.
A worthy cause indeed. And of course, you're sponsoring this race on the Lionheart series. But we also see you on a lot of Wednesday nights here on GSRC, correct?
Yeah, truck series last season, and then a couple of races that we did this season with the Cup cars.
Well, a worthy cause indeed. Is there any way people can find out more about what you do?
Website's being updated, but you can follow us on Twitter. It's at SR4MH, and Facebook at Sim Racers for Mental Health.
Well done. Thank you for everything you did to get this race here on GSRC broadcasted, and we look forward to seeing your series on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, thank you for broadcasting. That's fun to watch.
All right, here we have Billy Kruska, one of the men behind Sim Racers for Mental Health, the title sponsor of this race. That's going to do it for us here on the Global Sim Racing Channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Let me go ahead and thank all the people that made this possible. If I can find myself in the script that is incredibly long, there it is right here. Oh, we got to start with First Medical Equipment. They've been the source of medical supplies and equipment in the Burlington, Iowa area for years because of their superior commitment to provide the absolute best in product quality and customer care. Richie?
We got to thank Sim Experience. Sim Experience, the team behind the AccuForce Pro V2 direct drive steering systems. By providing unparalleled realism and the most advanced tuning features on the market, the AccuForce provides a significant advantage to any sim racer. It can also make for an effective training tool for real-world drivers. For more information on the entire Sim Experience ecosystem, including their GS5 stage series motion systems and Sim5 software, visit www.simexperience.com and use the promo code SimXLion to get 5% off Sim5 software. Soup?
Nothing gives me more pleasure than to talk about Butt Kicker. Their products add instant immersion to any game. Unlike a subwoofer that moves air and loses accuracy and force, Butt Kicker products move actual mass, producing a haptic immersion that's powerful and accurate. Butt Kicker products add that missing driver-to-car connection, bringing more realism and immersion to your sessions. See all the family of products at thebuttkicker.com. Use promo code LION25 to get 25% off your order.
To contact any of the sponsors you see on your screen right now, go to LionheartRacingSeries.com. Click on 2019 sponsors, read or scroll to the bottom where you can click on the company logo. The iconic original music that lets your ears alert your eyes. You're watching a GSRC production comes from courtesy of June Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact her. On the screen now are just some of the companies, equipment, and software that made this broadcast possible. The Lionheart IndyCar Series returns in 1 week, September 25th, for round 17 from Richmond. GSRC and IESN will be there to bring you all the action. We hope you join us.
Before your peepers are some of the upcoming broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. You want more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts? You can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, Twitter at GSR Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. And, if you haven't done so yet, head over to our YouTube page and hit that big red button to become a subscriber for GSRC so you don't miss a minute of any of the GSRC broadcasts. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, that would be Richie, Amjad, and Dougie. And don't forget the professor. I'd like to thank all of you for watching, as indeed it was Big Joe Hazard picking up a well-deserved win here in the Sim Racers for Mental Health 200. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.